Okay, so I'll share my screen now. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Has it come up? Okay, okay, awesome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's class. My name is Chiba still, as we all know. Okay, so today we'll be talking about user flows. So just a quick rundown on what to expect in today's class. We'll be talking about user flows, a really little introduction into user flows, the importance of user flows, and best practices, how you can come up with user flows as a designer when you're being given a design brief to work on something, for example. Okay, so let's get started. What's the sound? Okay, so a little introduction into user flows. I know we are all individuals and we live in houses, right? And probably at some point in our lives, we've been part of maybe we've seen our parents decide to maybe build a house or maybe a shop or something, and then they look for the services of maybe an architect, right, to draw out a plan on how people would come into the house. If you want to go to the kitchen, this is the route you would take, right? If you want to go to the maybe to the backyard, this is the route you take. If you want to go upstairs, different doors leading to different sections of the house. Okay, so this is just equivalent to how a digital product is, right? So imagine if you come into a house and then you enter the bathroom, then from the bathroom you see yourself in the garage, and then from the garage you're seeing yourself in the kitchen, like everything just looks haphazard. It's just such buildings don't exist, right? So if such a building exists in this world, you will just know that the architect must have done a very, very bad job and the user experience will be totally bad, right? So imagine building a product and then this product doesn't have a flow. It's just, left, right, center, everything looking all scattered. Okay. So, okay, just like this image we can see here, right? Um, we have an image of a building and we can see all the, okay, those of us that did constructions or something. Those that did construction or maybe architecture in school, right? We could be familiar with this kind of image, and then we know like this image shows different doors. Okay, this is the toilet, this is the bathroom, this is the backyard, this is the kitchen, as a case maybe. So this is just like trying to narrate like a scenario to how user flows can be applied in digital products and also in real life sense. Okay, so the user flow basically lays out the user's movement through the product, mapping out each and every step the user takes, right? So from the entry point, how your users come into the application to the final destination, right? So it could be that the final destination is to check out. It could be that the final destination is to let's say for example is to maybe pay for a shirt or maybe pay for a shoe or whatever task you want your users to do. So basically the user flow lays out this user movement, and there are many different pathways a user can take when interacting with a product, right? Many different pathways which a user can take when interacting with a product. Just like when you come into a building or when you come into a house, for example, there could be different routes you can take if you want to go to the kitchen, right? You can come into the kitchen probably through the backyard. Okay, you can go to the kitchen probably through the maybe the parlor or from upstairs, different routes. But at the end of the day, we all want to come to the kitchen. Okay, so different pathways could be taken, and it's still in tandem with what the user flow is all about. Okay, so now as designers, user flows understand and anticipate the cognitive patterns of our users in order to create product that enable this state of flow. So you know that as a designer, you're not just designing for yourself, right? You're designing for 1,000 of other users, people who would use your product. So how do you make this user flow as seamless as possible so that anyone interacting with this product will not have hitches on the way, right? Everything is seamless and everything is easy to navigate through. So user flows help designers to determine, okay, like how many pages you would need for the user to effortlessly complete a specific task, right? So we'll talk about all those where you can see how those kind of sketches are being done. Okay, so the big question here when it comes to user flow is what are the different pathways a user can take from the entry point to the final moment when they accomplish a goal? Okay, how does a customer get from probably the landing page to the checkout page in the most seamless way? Right? So even if they need to put in their card details, even if they need to create an account, even if they need to, you know, those who have an account would log in, those who don't have an account would create an account, so how do you navigate through all of these flows and ensure that your users have the most seamless experience? Okay, that's all about user flows. Just for feedback, you all can hear me, right? Okay, silence is really loud because I'm in Nigeria and network could be funny. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome,
Yes, you
awesome.
can.
So just okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll proceed. All right. So just a quick definition of what a user flow is. So a user flow, according to my slide here, is a visual representation, either written out or made digitally, of the many avenues that can be taken when using an application or a website. It begins with the customer's entry point where your users are entering from. If it's from the welcome screen, after welcome, okay, would there be a splash screen? Are we going to have 4 onboarding pages? From the onboarding pages, are we going to have a dashboard? On the dashboard, are we going to have settings? Are we going to have whatever you want to put on the dashboard? Okay, so it begins with the customer's entry points on the products like an onboarding screen or the home page, and then it ends with the final action or outcome like purchasing a product or signing up for an account, for example, right? So we can say here, just like what's written, it's either written out or made digitally. Personally, when I want to work on a product, right, I start with sketching out the user flow. Like my users will start from this screen. I could just do the task flow first. We'll talk about task flow and wire flows and all that in this class, but just for the sake of explanation. So I do my sketches. This is the first thing the user will do. These are the content of what will be on this particular screen. This task will lead to this task, will lead to this other task. If it's not successful, it takes them back here and all of that. So just like the image we can see here, we have the entry, we have the entry point, okay, where we have the welcome, and then probably we ask our users to select a task. So this image here is just um, an image of how a user flow looks like. We have the different shapes that convey whatever task we want our users to do. So if it's correct, they move here, they do their details, So looking at this image, you can just see basically how a user flow looks like. Okay, so just talk about the importance of user flows. We've been saying user flows, user flows. Some people may feel like it's not important. Like I can just maybe go on Behance, take one picture, take another picture, mix it up together. No, you're not designing. Like you're not being a UX or a UI designer or a product designer as a case maybe, right? So it's very important to draw out user flows, which makes you different from a random designer that is just going to pick one picture on Dribble and just place the picture and just no. But when you're a designer, you're coming up with flows, and the user flows, that's where the main task is in. That's where the whole experience stuff comes into play, right? Because if your user flow is confusing and hard to understand, it will definitely affect the user experience. So let's just talk about some importance of user flows. Okay, so the first importance is it helps to create an intuitive interface. So when a user flow is being done, like in the stages of your design project, right, and then you decide to come up with, an elaborate user flow, it helps for the ease of enhancing the ease of movement through your platform. So user flows help you as a designer to put yourself in the shoes of your users, people who would use this product, and see that, okay, from this flow, from this page, it leads to this other page. If I'm this user, will I feel confused? Would it be easy for me to navigate through? Okay, would it be very, very difficult? So when you use user flows, it helps to create an intuitive interface whereby you're able to design and create an easy or a very accessible interface for your users to explore, your users to use. Okay, so we also have here that it also increases the ability of your users to probably purchase or sign up. Because let's say, for example, I want to buy a shoe, right, and then I go on a shoe, okay, let's just take, for example, maybe an e-commerce platform, and then I just want to buy a new shoe, and then I'm coming on the platform, maybe they're asking me, the very first thing, they're asking me for my card details, and I'm like, why are they asking me for my card details? They've not even allowed me to see what kind of shoes they have available, right? They've not even asked me my name, like they don't even know about me as a user, and they're asking me for my card details. That's a wrong UX, right? So it's very important to come up with great user flows because it helps to create an intuitive interface on your digital platforms, or as the case may be. Then the second one here is it helps to evaluate existing interfaces. So for products that are already in use, because you could be asked to redesign a particular platform. I've seen situations where people want to apply for a new job, and then during the interview stage, they now ask you, okay, so what do you think about our existing platform? And then you say, well, I feel it is okay. It's your responsibility to probably have gone through the user flow to see if it is easy enough for users to use, right? So in situations like that, it helps you to determine what is working, what is not working, what areas need improvement, because when you're designing user flows, we have all the wireframes, the lo-fi and the hi-fi, what details should be on this page, what details should not be here, this navigation, is it hard to comprehend, is it too difficult? Okay, so it could also help you to know why users may be stalling at a certain point. Okay, because I think it's this class we talked about user research. And then let's take, for example, you did a user research and then you observe that when users were going through a particular flow, or a particular flow in the app, it was difficult for them to know what to do next. So as a designer, knowing your onions about what user flows entails, right, you can be able to point out what it could be stalling, what could have been the challenge, and what you can do to fix it. So another importance of user flows is presenting your product to clients or colleagues, right? So the user flows help you to easily communicate the flow of the product to your stakeholders and provide a general view of how the interface would look like at the end of the day, right? So let's say, for example, you work in a company, or maybe you're just doing a one-time gig, right? And then to whom it may concern, it could be your boss, it could be your client, okay, and say, okay, let me see what you've come up with. How do you think this app is going to look like at the end of the day? You won't just jump into Figma and say, okay, this is the first screen, this is the second screen, these are the colors we would use. No, you come up with a great user flow. So in that kind of situation, you're able to present your product to clients or colleagues. You're able to present your product to clients or colleagues, right? Which helps to show how efficient this user flow is going to be for your users at the end of the day. These are just few of them. There are still so many reasons out there. You can do your personal search, but these are the ones I feel is really important for us at this stage in this learning. Okay, so a user flow can be a combination of tax flows, it can be a combination of tax flows, wire flows, and then screen flows. So just like we can see here, we're just seeing the first image here. You're seeing sign up, just arrows. Okay, if you put in your email and your password, the next thing is your payment, and then maybe a plan of how you want to pay. And then we have the sign up here where we have, okay, email plus password, but you can see now that it now has like a shape looking like a mobile screen, but probably just text and images before we have the last one here that looks more real. Okay, so let's just go through all of them together. So the first one is the tax flow. So all of these are what makes up a user flow. Okay, so we can see here we have the entry, like the entry point, and then the action, and then the success, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a destination, what we want our users to do at the end of the day, whether it is to sign up to our newsletters, or whether it is to check out on this e-commerce platform, or whether it is to donate money to this donation platform, okay, or as the case may be. So basically, the tax flow focuses on how users travel through the platform while performing a specific task. So they generally show just one path, and they may not necessarily include multiple branches, right? Or pathways like a traditional user flow would be, which I would show you all in this class. Okay, so just like we can see here, it generally just follows just one path. So this is the first thing, and then this is the next thing, and then this is the end. But there could still be other information or other tasks that users have to do in between. Okay, so when using tax flows, it is assumed that all your users, so you as a designer would just assume that, okay, all my users will share a common starting point. So I could just say all my users will definitely enter from the onboarding screen, right? Maybe everybody must create an account. There's no login yet. So let's take, for example, a situation where we don't have maybe an option for the sign for the, sorry, I'm losing it. Okay, we have create an account, and then maybe another option for logging in. So let's just say maybe I have a particular entry point, which is create an account. So I could just decide to just do a tax flow, create an account, or maybe a tax flow for just the onboarding flow. Follow me, right? Just a simple tax flow for the onboarding flow. So the onboarding flow, basically onboarding users, right? We want to onboard more users into this application. So firstly, we should have the splash screen, right? And after the splash screen, we could have maybe few onboarding pages and then the dashboard. So in that kind of situation, we can see that it's just straightforward. All our users are going to do just one task. There's a common starting point, and there's a common ending point, and there's no variability in between. So basically, that's just for tax flow, and it's part of a user flow, because if you're designing a full-blown app, right, you will need all of these different steps in between. Just for feedback, you all can hear me, right? I think you can type if you can't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So that's for tax flow. And then we have wire flows. We can also call them low fidelity. So basically, you just need to know all these terminologies. By the end of the day, you need to know what you need to do, right? Okay, so wire flows are basically a combination of wireframes and flow charts. Okay, so this is not university that we have so many terminologies, but as designers, you need to know all of this because it's very necessary. You will work with big companies, and you don't want to sound like you don't know this thing. Like, you should mention wireframes without just saying something that may not just be in tandem. Okay, so wire flows are a combination of wireframes and flow charts. I would explain what wireframes are. So basically, wireframes could just be static, right? That would just have content, or maybe the images you want to put, the buttons, the microcopy. I don't want to say text, the microcopy to include, okay, so from this page and where on the page it should go next, right? So for flow charts, just like as the word is like flow, like, Okay, so this wireframe would lead to, we have maybe 4 wireframes, like 4 different wireframes, and then we want to put a flow in between, right? So wire flows are basically a combination of wireframes and flowcharts. So they utilize a layout of individual screens as elements within the diagram. So this diagram is a big diagram, right? But we have tax flows inside. We also have wire flows inside, because from the tax flow, it will lead to the wire flows, right? But at the end of the day, we just want to show where this whole, where all the tax is going to lead our users to, the entry point and then the ending point. Okay, so wireframes are much more static and they help you to explore the different ways you can design a single page. So I remember when I started learning design, the very first task I had, which if we give it to KodeCamp, they will they will start crying. Okay, so the very first task was to design low fidelity wireframes for just 10 screens, like 10, just okay, let me put it this way. Okay, so let's say, for example, you're being asked to design the landing page in 10 different ways. Landing page for a website, the same content, the same imagery, the same call to action buttons, but in 10 different ways. So, in that kind of situation, you're being tasked to, put your brain to work. How can one screen look different in 10 different ways? And which one at the end of the day, okay, would be more appealing, okay, or more easy for our users to comprehend, right? So basically, that's what wireframes and wireflows are all about. So just like we can see this image here to the right, we have an image here, and then we can see that if you tap on this image, it takes you to this next screen. It's not too detailed, right? So these are all components of a user flow. Then if your user probably taps on this middle one, okay, just like we can see what's in the background, we can just assume that this could be a taxi app, right? So maybe if you tap on order now, it will take you to this last screen. Okay, your ride is successful, right? So it's not really showing you the details in between, right? So that's for you, wire flows, sorry. Okay, and then the last one is the user inflows. Sorry, someone's saying something, or do I proceed? You can ask your questions later on. Let's just flow together. Okay, so we have the user inflows. This focuses basically on the way your users will generally interact with your product or within the product, as the case may be, right? So it emphasizes that all users might not perform tasks the same way and may travel in different paths, right? So let's say, for example, I want to design a platform, an e-commerce platform, where people can order for sneakers, right? And then I know definitely that not everybody will just come on the app. I will just want to probably just choose the sneakers of their choice, choose the color, put in their sizes, and then probably check out. There could still be people who may stall around. We could have those that may decide to, sorry, I'm hearing this sound. Is it here? Is someone saying something? It's quite distracting. Sorry, you can just mute your mic if your mic is unmuted so that we could follow through together. Okay, so as I was saying, okay, that's where the distraction just came in. Okay, so let's take, for example, okay, so I was saying that users may stall around. We could have some users who may probably want to check out different, maybe different sneakers. We could have those that may go into clothes. We could have those that may go into different things at the same time. So how are we able to design a flow that whatever pathway our users take, at the end of the day, they will still land in that checkout, or maybe putting your bank details or your debit card details, or as the case may be. Let me see. Okay, sorry, something it is. The constant knocking sound is from where? I don't know if it's from my background, but just give me 1 minute, please. Let me check something. Okay, sorry guys. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Sorry about that. I was just talking, so we'll just proceed now. So we were talking about, thank you. We're talking about user inflows, right? Where we have okay, where we said that our users may travel in different paths. However, the main task or accomplishment is usually always the same at the end of the day. Are you sure my background is not disturbing right now? Because I just want to be sure you all are comfortable hearing me clearly. Is it better? Okay, silence means yes. All right, so I will proceed. I have some chats here. Okay, it's better. Okay, awesome. Okay, just manage. You may just have to manage because I'm in some situation now which I may not be able to divulge, but if you can just try to hear me clearly, it's for our own good at the end of the day. Sorry. Um, okay, but if you can manage, just manage. I will soon be done with the class. Okay, so we'll just proceed now.
Hello guys, please just hang on. Your trainer will be up very soon. Thank you.
Okay, sorry everyone. Is it a little bit better now? I guess so. All right, so we'll just proceed with the speed of light. Okay, so we're talking about when we have multiple pathways on a website, right? And then basically it's always been attached to a specific persona or an entry point. I don't know if you all have talked about, if we had talked about user personas, right? So I could have user A, we want our users to do XYZ on the app. And then maybe user B, we want our users to do, maybe returning users will have a particular flow. Um, New users will have a particular flow, but at the end of the day, just like we can see here, we all have this last screen here, which is like the success, right? So that's basically for user inflows. If there are any questions at the end of the class, we'll take it, because I know at some point I sounded a bit disconnected. Okay, so proceed to the next thing, which is designing the diagram, right? So we've talked about the charts that constitute a user flow, which is like the tax flow, and then the wire flows and the user inflows, right? So preliminary user flow diagrams usually take the form of a chart. It's not like everyone or most of these design teams uses, but these are just design best practices, right? So usually takes the form of a chart which comprises of some or all of the following shapes, right? So we have rectangles, which could just be for notes. The notes could be, okay, maybe this screen is going to be maybe login page, and then diamonds, which is like for decisions. We would always have yes or no, right? For example, a decision on a screen could be login or create an account. So whatever screen where you're going to have your users, they need to make a decision on which flow they would want to take, or which task they want to do next, right? So let's take, for example, we have a screen where we could have maybe forgot password, right? So if your users forget their password, what flow would it take them to? If they did not forget their password, they may just have to put in their password, right? So we have circles, which are basically for entry points, where we have the start and the end. And then we have transition arrows, just like we can say, like the normal arrows, just basically for your user navigation. And we have squares, sometimes used for notes. So these are basically some of the shapes which are being used most times, okay, in designing user flow diagrams. Okay, so we'll talk about the best practices to design user flow diagrams, because it's really important to know how to design user flow diagrams, so that, at the end of the day, everything doesn't look all jumbled up, mind-boggling, and probably confusing, right? So when designing user flow diagrams, there are right ways and there are wrong ways to go about it, but definitely want to know the right ways, right? Like the best practices out there. So what you don't want to end up with is a mind-boggling, confusing document that very few people, apart from the design team, can read, because you may have to present your user flows to maybe stakeholders or maybe your clients. So it's not just the designers or the developers that should be able to understand. Like, it has to be legible enough, okay, for people to be able to read through and understand the flow and the concept behind it. Okay, so the first tip here is describe the purpose. It's very important to use descriptive titles and show one goal per flow, right? So just for example, we have this image here. We can say user settings. It's a very clear one. Like, I know user settings is, okay, settings could just be a page where you want people to maybe change their profile picture, change their name, change their phone numbers, edit their email address, or something of that sort. No. But in a situation where you want to draw a detailed user flow, and the importance of this user flow is for yourself as a designer, because you may not just be having these flows in your head every time. right? So, but when you lay it out before you even start a design process or a design project, right, it helps for you to know, okay, these are the number of pages I need to have on this project, right? So I remember when I started designing, and then when a client just comes to me and say, okay, Chi, I want to design a website for maybe a university. How many pages do you think it would take? So being that I'm new and maybe I hadn't learned about user flows then, or what it could help me do, I could just say, well, I'm not too sure, but if I had known then, I could just go back to my drawing board and do lots of research. Okay, the university website is supposed to have the landing page, is supposed to have settings, it's supposed to have maybe courses, it's supposed to have departments, it's supposed to have about us, all of those. And then the different pages that would be under, or the different content that will be under each of these pages. Okay, so it's very good to describe the purpose. This is what this flow is about. This is what this particular page in this flow is about, right? So we have, for example, here the updates profile picture. We have the update profile picture. Sorry. Okay, so we have the update profile picture. So you can see here that we have this first page and then leading to the next page and then leading to the next page. So probably the first page. So this could just be like a schematic diagram of what the flow, like what my users are going to do if they want to update their profile picture. So maybe the first page could be maybe upload a picture of yourself, and maybe there's a little micro copy that says it must be in JPEG, it must be PNG, it must be 2 MB, all of that detail. And then maybe when they are uploading, so there's a different page for that. So there's a different page for that. And then maybe there's a different page for that, maybe where they are uploading their content or the picture, as the case may be, and then they've uploaded it, right? So that's like different pages, but I'm designing it in a user flow way. So it's easier for me when I go back to my drawing board. I know that, okay, I'm dealing with just 3 pages. If I want people to view account settings, these are the pages they would go through. Okay, so one of the best practices is describe the purpose using descriptive titles and show one goal per flow. Very important. Okay, so the next tip is to make use of one directional flows, right? So your user flow shouldn't have complex multi-directional directions at the same time. I think this is a typo error. Okay, so just like this first image we can see here, we are seeing the first page is leading to this one, is leading here. We know that when prototyping, when you're doing the prototyping, right, you could have a different, that could just be a different ball game, because if you're prototyping, maybe I don't know if I could show you guys this quickly. Okay, I think I'll show that at the end of the class. Okay, so it shouldn't be all jumbled up and, from this page is moving to this page. Everything is just, someone who is coming to look at this user flow will be confused, like which one is leading to which, right? So it has to be one directional, just like we can see this one here, from this page to this page to this page. Maybe this could be maybe onboarding page, onboarding flow, for example. And then the next one from this page to this page to the next page, it looks one directional and it's very easy to grasp. Okay, so one of the best practices is use one directional flows per time. All right, so we have another one, decide on an entry point. Your entry point is basically where your flow would start from, right? So it could be that the flow would start from the dashboard, right? Because dashboards are usually like the central part where maybe after you've signed up and logged in and done everything, okay, that very page where you see everything before you start moving to maybe your profile, maybe your settings, check, explore, just like we have the Instagram app, right? Where you can view all the pictures as you're scrolling down. And then if you tap on explore tab, you see this one. If you tap on the icon where your face will be showing, you see this other one, right? So it's very important to decide on an entry point. Okay, so it's very important that your user flow document starts off with a clear entry point. Make sure it's clear where your users are starting from, where they'll be entering the website from, because this indicates where the flow would start from. Example, the login screen or from the home page. Okay, so that's for the third tip, which is decide on an entry point. Okay, then the next one is make sure you use clear labels, right? So it's always very important to clearly label out each action, each screen, or each decision. Like, let your user flow be very simple. Even your younger brother can look at the flow and say, okay, this is what this app is going to do, right? So imagine if your user flow is very clear to understand, it's being labeled well. Where there is login screen, you put login screen. Where we want users to create an account, it's properly labeled. It's very easy because remember we talked about designing for accessibility, right? So that could also be inclusive in this kind of situation too, because you may want to present your user flow to your stakeholders, maybe your clients or maybe the product owners, as the case may be. Okay, so the next one is use colors wisely. So your use of colors when you're designing your user flow should be intuitive and not in disarray. For example, you could use a separate color for each different element in your user flow so that your readers can easily understand the color code. There is no hard or fast rule, right? So it is not like color psychology that you should use green. Okay, if you're designing for maybe a forest website or maybe an agri website. Okay. Sorry, someone saying something. I'm hearing. Let me check the chats. Really, you guys cannot hear me? Are you for real?
I can hear you.
Okay, but I'm saying. Okay. But I'm saying I can't hear you anymore. Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, when did you all stop hearing me? Wow, this is what network can do. Okay. Okay, we can hear you, we can hear you. Okay, so I guess we'll just proceed then. Okay. So sorry for the whole hitches this evening. Some days are like that, but we just need to learn at the end of the day. Okay, so I was saying it's not basically based on like color psychology where you may have to use this particular color or no, but just make sure the colors are not looking all jumbled up. Let me see if I could share. Okay, just like for example, we have this user flow here for a social app. So we can see you open your mobile app and then if you're logged in, okay, you can see yes. If you're not logged in, no, okay, users will have to log in, right? So for those who are logged in, you can see the media feed, which would have maybe all the posts for the day, right? So if you want to post an update, if you say yes, we take you to the posting modal, which is like a screen, just like Facebook, for example. So if you don't want to post an update, for example, you go back to this screen where you can just view all the media feed. And if you say yes, you want to make a post, okay, we ask you if you want to post maybe text or pictures or whatever the case may be. And then if that's successful, we refresh the feed, right? So this is just like a basic flow for just making an update. So you can see that this user flow is cut across every step of the way. Probably if you want people to just sign up or if you just want people to subscribe to a newsletter, right? So I just felt like showing you all this very simple user flow for a social app. Okay, so proceed. Okay, people are still typing. Let me see if they can't hear me again. Are you for real? Jesus Christ, what is happening today? Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so there was no change of screen. Okay, that should be Zoom's fault because I swiped to this screen. Can you all see this screen where we have this flow chart?
Are you talking about the flow chart with different shapes and colors?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so those who said they couldn't see, what happened? Okay.
Network.
It could be network. Okay. Part of what we have to go through. Me, I can't see. Hey, God, do. Okay, so for those who can't see, maybe you just go back to YouTube. Okay, still showing best practices tips 5. Okay, I don't know what could be the reason because I swiped to this other screen, but okay, so you all can't really see this user flow now for a social app. Like you can't see this screen which I'm on now.
So you're on the screen that says best practices 5. Isn't that the screen you're sharing?
I actually swiped to let me see, could it I actually swiped to a FigJam file. So you all can see a FigJam file, right?
No,
Maybe I
I'm
No,
should.
not.
No.
I think you have to stop sharing this if that is
Just your
different from
mouse.
your
Your mouse
screen.
will
No.
just move on the screen.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I think I should just stop sharing, then I share again. I don't know. I think
Yes,
that
that
would
would be
work.
better.
Okay. Um, I should just share the whole. Okay. Can you all see this screen?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can.
can.
Okay. Okay. Sorry,
Okay, we can
everyone.
see now.
Sorry. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Sorry. Okay. Let's do something real quick. Can you see the screen now? Like, can you see the
Yes, we
swiping
can.
button?
Yes.
Okay. And you can see this,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, okay. All right. So I was explaining the user flow for this social app. Like I was trying to show us task flow, like using a very basic flow, like for a social app, right? So that was why I moved over to this other screen where we have, okay, the first one, which is open your mobile app. If you're logged in, you can see the triangle shape here. So it's like a decision, yes or no, right? So if users say yes, it takes them to this screen where we have the media feed, just like we have Facebook or Instagram, for example, right? So this is the media feed where they could see all the content. So you can see this is just like a very quick task flow, right? So if you want to post an update, for example, if you want to post an update, for example, if you want to post an update, for example, and then you say yes, you want to post an update, it takes you to this post modal. So let's take, for example, we all use Facebook. So the post modal will come up, okay, what's on your mind? You say what's on your mind. So if you say no, it will take you back to this media feed where you continue viewing all the WhatsApp, I'm sorry, not WhatsApp, all the pictures, imagery, and all of that, for example. Okay, so if you say yes, you want to post a modal, it takes you to where you can maybe add text or photos or you submit. And then if you've done that, we have success, which is, yes, the feed will just refresh where we can just say, okay, your feed, you will now see your picture which you've uploaded, or maybe a status, maybe a text which you have written, and then we have the end. So this is just like a very quick task flow. You can see it may not really have the details of the media feed, right? Where we could have, okay, the media feed will have maybe a little, it could be bottom navigation where we have settings, where we have my account, where we have explore, or as the case may be. All right, so I just wanted to show us that. And then Okay, now move to another screen. You all can see the transition, right? Let me
Yes.
know. Okay, awesome, great, thank you. Okay, so the next tip is include error states or alternatives. So this could just be your personal, you can just go and read up on error states, it will help you, right? Error states in design. It's very important as designers, when you're designing, remember that you're designing for human beings, and human beings will definitely make mistakes, right? So what if I've forgotten my password? There should be an inclusion of maybe forgot password, right? And then I may have to reset my password. So what if, for example, there's a network glitch or maybe a system glitch, like what has been happening to me today, right? So there could be maybe a 404 screen that says, oops, your network is bad. It's not about us. I like the way Slack writes their own stuff, right? So we're not talking about UX writing today, but we're just talking about like designing for different error states and including them even in your tax flow, right? Okay, so that's for including error states. And then the next one is, I'll just show us, this is just like a very quick skeletal tax flow for a flight booking application. So we'll just go through it together, right? So as you can see here, I'm still seeing messages. What's happening? I can see now. Oh, okay, I'm muted. What's happening today? Okay, but I feel you all can hear me, so I'll just proceed. Okay, all right. Please, just for feedback, I'm seeing you're muted. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Today is a wonderful day. Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is just like a skeletal tax flow for a flight booking application. So as we can see here, you can see, okay, we have the home page where everything happens. Okay, so if you want to book a flight, we can have, okay, you will now be the one to think. That is where design thinking comes in. And I think your trainer Favor talked about design thinking, because as a designer, the major thing, everything happens in your brain. So a client could just give you a brief. We want to design a flight booking application, right? So you'll be the one to start thinking, okay, what could be the features? If some situations they may not give you a PRD, like a product requirement document, which would have everything they want to have on their on that application, right? So it may be your own responsibility to go and think, because I've seen clients that will tell me, I just want to design, I just want to build maybe let's take for example a book, okay, like an online library, right? Your users, or sorry, your clients may not necessarily know what features are supposed to be there, right? So it's now your responsibility to say, okay, XYZ should be on the landing page, ABC should be on this particular page, this should not be here, this should be here. Whereas we still have some situations where your clients will tell you, okay, we want our users to be able to do this. Okay, maybe we want people to download books, we want people to maybe pay for books, we want people to do this, we want people to do that, okay, as the case may be. But whichever situation, it's your responsibility to do the design thinking. So for example, this flight booking application we have here, on the home page, we would want people, our users, to be able to access their account, right? So this is just basically skeletal. We may want them to see flight destinations, maybe the very popular flights where people are moving to recently. It could be maybe from Lagos to Abuja. It could be maybe from Ghana to North America, okay, as the case may be. And then maybe we also want to show them flight result, their previous flight result, or maybe other people's flight result, maybe their experiences, what they may have had to say about this particular airline, okay. And then we will also have people that want to check in, like if I come on a flight booking app, I want to check in, maybe to just log in, maybe put in my details, where I am, where I want to be going to, the date I want to go, and all of that. And then we also have alerts, right? So all of these, if I'm the one that wants to design this, I may think of different features that should be on this homepage. If Favor is the one that wants to design it, she may think of different features that probably should be on the homepage. If I don't know which other person is on this call. Okay, let me just take for example, Ihechi, right, wants to design. So different designers would have different ideas on how they feel, okay, this flow should go, right? And that's where user testing also comes in, like doing your user research, right? I know we may not really be keen on user research in this class, but it's very important to know it, because you may not just want to do flows or make designs that your users are not really going to enjoy, right? So let's say, for example, you want to work on this application. It's a new idea, may not have existed before. Okay, you may want to ask your users, okay, in this kind of application, what do you want to see? People will now say, okay, I want to see this, I want to see this. And then you go back to the drawing board, you synthesize all the data. Okay, this is what they are saying. This is what professionally I feel should not be there. Okay, this is what I feel should be there, or as the case may be. And then we have alerts, we have help center. And then if you can see this account, so from my account, you can go over to my flights, you can see edit account, you can edit your details. Okay, so flight destinations, you see discovery about the destinations. Okay, so basically this skeletal task flow just shows these are like the information that would be after this page, or after this information should come this next information. After checking should be filling informations, and there may be a confirmation. Okay, and maybe the confirmation would, they may probably send you an email or maybe a text message, your flight has been booked, blah blah blah. We'll call you on your travel date, or as the case may be, right? So basically this is just a very simple skeletal tax flow for the flight booking application. All right, I'm seeing messages. Let me check these messages. Okay, all right, Udema is leaving. Bye. Okay, so okay, that sound came from me. And then our weekly task. So before we go over to a weekly task, let me know if I have questions. Let me know if I have questions, because I feel there should be questions. I was just leaving and joining the call several times. Okay, any questions on user flow? Okay, this silence means no.
You have questions, let me just call them. Leo Ekene, can you please open? Leo Ekene. Okay, since he's not answering, Ethan, please unmute your mic.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Are you here? Okay.
Good evening, Ethan.
I didn't really get you, Ethan. I didn't really get you when you were talking about wireframes.
Wireframes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your question? You want to understand what wireframes
Yeah,
are?
I didn't really understand when we were talking about it. Like, I didn't get a difference between wireframes and wireflows. And from what you said, it seems wireframes is under wireflows, but I didn't really get what wireframes are.
Okay. So let me go back to that slide. Then I'll just show us a little bit. Okay, I think this is it. Okay, so I said that wireframes are much more static and helps you to probably explore all the different ways you can design a single page, right? Whereas the wireflows is a combination of wireframes and then flowcharts. Okay, so let me just go over to this. Can you all see the change of screen? Because things are just happening to me today. Okay, so you all can see this, right? Oh,
Yes,
Ethan,
we can.
who asked the question. Ethan, you can see this. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
So as you can see now, we have, I designed this, right? And then I started with the low fidelity wireframes. So wireframes basically just is a combination of maybe the text you want to, this is actually like mid fidelity, right? Because you can see sign-in is already written here. You can see sign up and all of that. But there are some situations, the very basic static ones, it could just be just boxes that would show, okay, there's going to be a text here. So wireframes basically would have maybe the text, the images, the content, the structure of how you want to arrange a particular screen, right? in a project you're working on. Then when it becomes a Wireflow, is you can see now that I had turned on this prototype here on my Figma, right? So you can see the different flows here. So I'm already intertwining the flow, like how users will navigate through from this page. If you sign in, it should take you here. If you sign out, oh sorry, not if you sign out, and then if you tap on next, it will take you here. If you tap on next, it takes you to the next screen, right? So basically that's what that's the difference between wireflows and wireframes. Wireframes are just static. Then it becomes a flow, like a wireflow, when you have started navigating through the different pages. I don't know if that helps.
Okay, yeah, I understand. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I saw another question here. Please explain the task flow. Task flow. Let's go to task flow. Okay, so I said here that task flow generally shows just only one part. And like I said, these whole flows are what make up a user flow, right? Don't mind all the plenty flows are just flowing through our mouths. If you just understand the concept behind it, it will just help you easily. So, but basically, task flow shows how users travel through the platform while performing a specific task, right? It may not necessarily include multiple branches the way we have this one here, where we could see different things happening at the same time, right? So, but what happens in task? So, okay, we could just have an entry point and then the action and then success. It's just very straight to the point. Let me show example. This one we talked about here. This is just a clear example of a task flow. If you can see under this, let's take for example this check-in now, or these fill informations. It was not clearly stated what would be inside these fill informations, but fill informations is maybe a particular section or feature of this app that you have to come up with, right? So that's basically a task flow, just straightforward. Home, my account, my flights. You just know that, okay, from my flight, it could be checkout at the end. Maybe all of this could just lead down to confirmation. So that is the answer for a task flow. And then the other question was, let me see. What's the concept behind the flows? I don't understand your question. Can you unmute your mic, Uzo, and explain your question? Okay, thought wireframes are usually in white and gray, but the one you showed is blue and white. It's just a color I used. Wireframes are basically in white and gray, just like you can see this one here. It's white and gray, right? But this is like low fidelity. If it's high fidelity, I may have decided to include pictures. The reason I use the blue one here is just for the sake of the class. It's not like there was any like big deal. You can just add pictures. I'm sorry, I just decided to use the colored one. But if I'm doing a real wireframe, like industry standard, it should be white and black because you're not adding pictures yet. You've not yet reached the high fidelity part where you need to, start thinking of what kind of color and all that. Okay. If you have a question, you can please unmute your mic because I know today's class has just been somehow funny. Okay, so Tolad is saying, is it possible to know the exact number of pages that an app or a website should have from the onset? Well, I would say you can just have an overview of how many pages. If you do the tax flow, if you design your user flow, you may just have an idea of how many pages. But at the end of the day, right, it could exceed, it could be less than. So I remember then when people or when clients would tell me, I want you to charge me per page, you may be the one being cheated at the end of the day, because if you assume that you may have 60 pages for this mobile app, and as you're designing, maybe you're a designer that likes designing, maybe using the different user states, right? There are people who don't design for the different user states. User states in the sense that, let me take for example, when you all downloaded WhatsApp on your phone, right? The very first time you downloaded WhatsApp, you didn't send any message to anybody. I can guess that maybe what was on the screen in the middle of the page would be tap on tap on the chat button to send a message to your friend. So that's like an empty state, right? Nothing, you've not started doing anything yet. So if you're a designer and you want to design using, because that's actually the proper way, design using different user states. And then we have that particular first page where we don't have all those chats yet. If you swipe over to your status, you guys should just follow me on this mental journey. So if you swipe over to your status, you won't see any, they'll just tell you make a status update, right? If you swipe over to calls, you won't see any of those. So it could be that you're designing that empty state, and then you'd also have to design the state where it is filled. So now when you started chatting with all your friends and loved ones, it becomes a filled state because you're now seeing, okay, mommy sent a message, daddy sent a message, all of those states. So if you design all of those and maybe at the end of the day, it exceeds the 60 screens you talked about, you may have cheated yourself, right? So, but you can just have an overview. It could be 100 pages, it could be 50 pages. Sometimes I could stipulate it could be 30. At the end of the day, you may want to include forgot your password screen. You may want to include forgot your password flow, as the case may be. So that is that's my answer to that question. Okay, I hope that has answered your question, Tolad. You can just type. Okay, Favor. All right. So any other question? You could just proceed.
Victor, please can you unmute your mic?
Good evening.
Good evening, Victor.
Yeah. So, okay, I have a question. In one of your user flows, you use different diagrams for decisions and action, and I got confused. Like, doesn't the decision require an action already? So why is it different? I don't know. Can you please explain that?
Why? Sorry, come again. Why does a decision? What's your question?
Like
Just
you
say it
said,
one more time.
in your one of your user flows, you did like a different diagram. You made different diagrams for decisions and actions. Then I got confused because I was like, for me to make a decision, after making a decision, I have to make an action in it. So why can't it be just be like represent just one diagram instead of two?
Okay. Is it? Let me see. Okay, so your question is just okay. Use this and ask the question. Like, so this is like a decision. If you're logging,
Yes,
so it's either you say yes or no.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
so your
yes.
question is
I
why
don't know.
should
It
this be
was in one
there?
of your slides. I think the early slides. Mm, Not
Okay, but
this one.
just I'm trying to use this to answer your question. So your question is why should this be there?
No, I get why this because this is a decision. Like you have to say yes or no. But in one of the flowchart, I saw a decision, and then an action, like in two different places.
Okay, decision and action in two different places.
Yes,
Uh okay. So your question is why the action is there after the decision, like
yes.
the
Like
box,
why
like
can't
the
it just?
shape.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so why can't it just be what?
Like why can't it just be the same thing as a decision? Because after making a decision, you have to make an action, or you have to decide on an action rather.
Okay, Yisa. Okay. Okay, so maybe I'm having a bit of difficulty understanding your question. Well, I would just say that can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. So I'll just say that we may not necessarily, there are people who, when they are designing tax flows or user flows, they may not want to use all the diamond shapes and the circle and all of that. These are just like design best practices, like because if you work with, big brands, they may expect you to have known how to use all of these, right? So my answer to the question, the best way I understand is that you just have your main task, like your major responsibility may not necessarily be the shapes or the colors, right? But just understanding the user flow, that from this flow it should be this other one. Then probably if you're having challenges with what kind of shape should be where, you know we have, I think in that slide I had shown the diagonal, okay, just like this logged in here, it's to show that, okay, there are either two questions, either yes or no. So the major responsibility is to just be sure that your user flow is very easy, and very straightforward for your users to understand through. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you to Victor. Okay, Favor, you said someone
Shagun,
else had a
yeah,
question.
Shagun Steven, please unmute your mic.
Good evening. My
Good evening,
my question
Shagun.
my question
Okay.
is about, let's say, like, assuming there is a product to design, and as a
Okay.
designer, I've done a lot of thinking about the product, and with what you said we can start a design with user flow, like from the combinations, tax flow, wire flows, screen flows. Now,
Okay.
I'm confused now, because starting the design, do we have to follow the series? I mean, the series of the user flow, which is the combination you just taught us. I mean, the tax flow to the wire flow, or then to the screen flow, for us to have our uh, our
A
actual user
complete.
flow, or we
Okay.
just have to pick. If it is a screen flow, we can just probably go with a screen flow. Then we get it done. Then we know that, okay, the user flow is already done. Or must
Okay.
we have to carry out from the tax flow to the wire flows, then to the screen flows?
Okay.
Is it
Thank you very
compulsory?
much for the question. Okay. So the tax flow and the wire flows, they are all components of a user flow, right? So if, for example, you want to work on a very broad project, right, and you're sure of the screens you want to have at the end of the day, you could just come up with the different pages. Okay, just like we had this one here. Where is it? Okay, just like we had this one here, where this screen will be to this other screen. So there's no hard or fast rule that you must start from tax flow. All of the, okay, let's take for example this entry. So my personal thought is that they are all interwoven, right?
Okay.
Because an entry point could be this dashboard here. Okay, but it's still, this dashboard now is an entry point, but it still has all the components of a wireframe, but this is the entry point for this app. So let's say this entry point now that will lead to other pages. It could just be that this entry point is maybe the splash screen. So all users must see splash screen first. That's where we have like an entry. And then there could be multiple actions in between, where we have the onboarding flow, the onboarding pages, maybe where we could have create an account or sign up, sign in, okay, as the case may be. So it's just basically what you want to do at the end of the day. They are all interwoven. So we are not saying you must start with tax flow and then move over to wire flows, because tax flow now, that the entry point is, this is like an entry point, for example, for these screens we have here. So I don't know if that's answered your question.
It has. Thank you.
Thank you, Shegun. Okay, so I see we have one more question before we end the class. What? Nadi, are you talking? Because you're unmuted. Okay, so if we don't have any other question, we'll just we'll just take our task for this week. And please, all the tasks we are being given, they are not for fun. The person who said maybe the last task was for fun, please, it's not for fun. You would definitely be asked to submit them, and it's for your own good also. Okay, so I guess there's no other question, right? So we could just get our task for this week. Okay, it was a question, not affirmation. Oh, okay. Okay, so our task for this week, I know that the last task which your trainer Favor gave was to do empathy maps for the food ordering app. So still following that same direction. So your task is to design the task flow diagram using shapes like we discussed today. I know we've not started using Figma, so it will be unfair to say you should do something like this. Okay, so using shapes like we've talked about today, your task is to design the task flow diagram using shapes for a user in a food ordering application. So you can use FigJam or Miro to draw your flow diagram. Any questions on the task? If this is a task that would allow us move to stage 3, I think Ikes has an answer to that question if he's on this call. I may not really have the correct answer. But yeah, just do all your tasks, like it's necessary and it will be asked for. So any questions on this task? Because some people will slide into my DM. Please ask your questions. Please ask your questions. If there are no questions, we could just end the class for today. And also, sorry for the whole hitches today. Some days are like that. Okay, so what app are we using for this task, please? Yes, you're to create the task flow for the food ordering app. Yeah, just the task flow. What app are you using for this? FigJam or Miro? FigJam. This is FigJam. This is FigJam. So you can just use FigJam to, create something. Maybe the first page is this. Users would create an account, and then maybe you can add an arrow. Users would do this, from this would lead them to this. The tool is quite easy to use. Any other question? You can use FigJam or Miro, depends on which you're more flexible with. And then this slide will be shared on the Slack channel. Okay, no further questions, right? Favor, any other thing? Okay, so since we don't have any other question, thank you all for your listening time.
Please, I have a
My
question.
apologies.
I've been raising my hand.
Oh, Miss Tura, what's your question?
Okay, please, the task flow, is it supposed to be like, please, can you go back to the screen where there's something like tip 2? The second tip.
This screen?
No. Where the screen that you were showing us tips, like tip 1, tip 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So the task flow, is it meant to be, okay, sorry, can I see tip 1? Okay, so are we meant to like are we meant to separate it like this, or we can just do everything in one diagram? Like this update profile picture, order, can we like create a separate task flow for order for food, then another task flow for confirm order, or another task flow for check menu or something like that? Or we are meant to put everything, like all the procedures, in one diagram?
Okay, when you say all the procedures in one diagram, like let's take, for example, this is the submission of your tax. So your question is all the procedure in this diagram, yeah?
Yes. This one, you did not like separate the features.
Okay. Okay, so your question is if you should, I'm trying to get a mental
Okay.
picture of it. Okay,
Okay,
so
should
let's
we
take
show one goal per flow, like the statement here?
yeah, you should show one goal per flow. Like, okay, let's do it like this. If you're okay, let's take for example, you, Miss Tura, you're going to design this app, right? So that could be maybe some task you may have to do later on. So how do you want to design your user flow in a way that it is easy for you to just look at the user flow and you go on your Figma board and you can just design it? So this is like you now putting yourself in the shoes of your future when you be designing it, for example, right? So let's say, for example, I want to do design this app now. The very first page, what will my user, maybe I want, okay, now let me just streamline it to a mobile application. Let me include it here. I will include it when I'm sharing the slide. So for a mobile application, so maybe the first thing could be the splash screen. I'm already giving expo, but let me just proceed. So the next one, for example, there are some platforms that they may not necessarily need to include onboarding pages. It could be waste of time for their users, right? Maybe just from onboarding, from the splash screen could be maybe the dashboard, order food or something. So your responsibility should just give us the flow for how your users would navigate through the app. That's your task. Like you're going to combine design thinking, which people has talked about. Okay, it's really going to be an exciting task. Like don't see it as something scary. So please, you're not creating screens basically. You're just giving us a flow because I'm not sure we can all use Figma now. Except if you want to give us this type of thing that I did here, which is not what I'm asking for. Because I know some people may want to give me this now. Please, that's not what we're asking for. Just a very simple task flow. Like that's
Like
the
a
task.
flow chart.
Yeah.
All right.
So with all these big grammar we are saying, tax flow, flow chart, just give us a flow.
All right.
Do something. Yes. Because some people will say, I don't know, I used flow chart. It was low fidelity, it was high fidelity. Just do something. Stretch your mind, and research on Google. Google is your best friend. All right. We might have to do some wireframing in order. Okay, thank you, Miss Tura, in order to achieve the tax flow. I didn't ask for wireframes because these wireframes now will lead you to this thing here. Because this is like a low fidelity wireframe, which is not what I'm asking you people for. Just give us the tax flow. Thank you. Can you show us example of what we have to submit? That means I'm showing you the assignment. Now will I show you what you have to submit? Oh my God. Okay, I thought you all said you wanted to leave the class. Another class is supposed to start by 7. So someone is asking me to show an example of what we have to submit. That's me showing you the answer now. Okay, yeah, please proceed. What's your question?
Please, for clarity purposes, I think what we're expected to do is that using FigJam, we should design a task flow diagram using shapes as discussed today for a user in a
Yes.
food ordering application, right?
Yes, please.
Because the way they shared it into two now, some of us might go and do one thing, the other one, and do other thing for the performance.
Okay.
Is okay.
Please,
Thank
I'm not saying we should do this. So please don't do this one. I just showed you people for future references. Please, you're not supposed to design a full app like this and show us prototyping because we've not gone into Figma yet. You're just supposed to use Figma or FigJam or Miro and just do a simple, flow. From this, it will lead to this. Just like we have here, when users open mobile app, okay, after opening mobile app, what next? Maybe there will be a splash screen after the splash screen. So just give us like your mental flow of how the app is going to run to you. When would users choose what kind of food they want? Okay, will they check out? Will they pay money? Is it free food? Is your own website going to be free food? Just come and order for food. You don't need to pay money. So just do something. Yeah. So all these people. How do I come up with a tax flow for the food ordering app? I'm gonna copy another app tax flow. Okay, I'm not laughing because I'm not laughing really. I'm not going to show small, I'm done. Okay, thank you all for your listening time. I've already shown you people now. If I'm bad at making shapes, how are you bad at making shapes, Joseph? Like, if you're using Fig Jam, I didn't say you should go and design a shape. Just choose a tool here. If you want to use circle, please, you're not supposed to like use circle, right? Because we said circles are like entry points. So if you can just use basic shapes, like, look at what we've done here now. Like, people, this is not hard now. People of God, bad at using shapes. Nigerians. So you want me now to teach you how to draw a shape so that I will just draw everything at once? Some people will not make heaven. All right, so thank you all for your listening time. Since we have no other question, we will see next week. Okay. So silence means yes. Okay.
Okay.
Their last
Sorry.
one. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. Let me step here. Ethan.
Back.
Yeah. Hold on. Ethan. Oh yeah. Go ahead. I think his hand has been raised for a long time. Okay. Ask your question. Because you guys' question.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Just for clarity purpose, the task we're meant to do, it's going to be, well, something like the previous slide before this, with one entry point on the flow and one ending point, then in the middle, different tasks spread out. That's what we're meant to do, right?
Okay, if you feel there should be multiple entry points, it's fine. I shouldn't tell you there should be one entry point. So let's say, for example, okay, let's do something real quick. I know there's supposed to be another class by 7. Okay, so let's say you're designing a food ordering application. We talked about who are your users. So are your users, okay, I think I'm making this thing bigger. I'm already giving you the answer. This is your question now, Ethan. You want me to say the answer, and I don't think it would be fair to say the answer. So your task is to just give us a user flow, right? Just give a flow. Like, I want you all to stretch your mind. This is how you learn, because you may be given a design brief when you start working. You won't like copy an app, like someone who is saying is going to copy an app. Of mercy, just say your question one more time. Let me see if I can think through how to respond. Okay, Ethan has gone, but summarily, your task is not too hard. Just come up with a flow. Yeah, like you're not doing, I'm still saying it again, you're not doing this. You're just going to use FigJam or Figma. Sorry, FigJam or Miro, and just, come up with a flow. This would lead to this, and this would lead to the other. Finish. And for a user who wants to order food, so I know that most food ordering platforms, I don't want it to be too technical, because we would have food, people who want to order food, and we have vendors, which I'm not asking people to do for vendors, because now my brain is already breaking it down into different different users. So just for a user who wants to order food, I'll edit this particular page just to order food. So if you want to order food in any food ordering platform, what are you going to be expecting to see? Oh yeah, I'm giving you people the expo. Thank you all. If you want your food ordering platform to be free, everybody will come and eat free food. So they don't need to put in their card details, Abby. If it's not going to be, if it's free one, please just add me up so that I can come and order for free food. All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. Ikes, I guess we can end the class now.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Okay, so thank you guys very much. So your task will be dropping tonight. Okay, so look out for that. And remember, once again, submission deadline will not be extended. Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye-bye.